So I'm not the kind of person who just runs around having spectacular visions all the time and things like that. But every once in a while, God will drop kind of a picture or a metaphor or object lesson into my spirit, and it turns out to be really helpful. And this one definitely has. I was talking to him about this just really annoying bad habit, detrimental habit that I picked up a couple of years ago. And I'm sure that I was whining and not just praying, because, sometimes you catch yourself whining a little bit, right? I'm sure I was, because I was just feeling really frustrated with myself that I couldn't just shake this habit. And I know that it was really bad for me. A couple of years ago, I got into this really bad practice of putting my phone right next to my bed, which I know a lot of people do. And I'm sure when I started doing that, I had a legitimate reason, because, when you've got an elderly parent, you need to be more available than you do at other times, But that is not the case anymore. My mom went to heaven like 2 years ago or something now. And then what happened is that morphed into this bad behavior of, looking at my phone before I went to sleep, and then maybe watching a couple of YouTube videos before I went to sleep, blah, blah, blah. And I know better. Like, it's science that the light that comes off of our devices tells your brain, wake up, wake up. It's a certain kind of light that helps you become alert. And so the last thing I needed was to be looking at that before I went to sleep. And then, I've struggled with interrupted sleep for a long time. I struggled with insomnia for a long time. And like I said, interrupted sleep, where maybe I'd go to sleep and then I'd wake up and then I couldn't go back to sleep. So not great, because I already struggle with exhaustion anyway, which is a whole different issue. So this sure wasn't helping. And I wanted to kick the habit, but I'm telling you what, guys, girls, devices are so addictive. That little dopamine rush that we get as we scroll, or as we see that somebody liked our post or whatever, that is real. It is really addictive being on our devices. But anyway, I digress. So anyway, I'm talking to the Lord about this. Like, Lord, I feel like an addict. Like, why can I not stop doing this? Which, of course, I could stop doing it, but you know what I'm saying. Why does it feel like I can't stop? Why do, I crawl into bed and I'm like, oh, let me just check one thing, and an hour later I'm cross-eyed and then wondering why I can't sleep. So the Lord shows me this picture, and I was standing on the edge of a trench, very, very deep. It was like a crack in the earth, like if you were watching a cartoon and how they would draw this jagged crack in the earth. And I could tell it was really, really deep, because I could almost like even see a glow coming up from it, where it was so deep that it had gone into where there's molten lava, to where the earth is liquid because it's so hot and it's so deep. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, it just went down and down and down forever. And to fall into that thing, to fall into that narrow trench would have, of course, been instant death, and just a gruesome death. And, I would have just fallen and fallen and fallen, because it was so deep. And so I'm looking at this thing, and of course it's very intimidating. But as I looked just a little bit closer, I realized that the whole trench from one side to the other was like about a foot wide, maybe a foot and a half, like 18 inches tops. I'm a normal person. I take normal size steps. It was just the size of a normal step. It would have taken absolutely no extra effort to put my foot on the other side of that trench and just stepped across it. There was virtually no danger of falling in or whatever. And I really felt like the Lord was saying that a lot of times, I'm going to say we, because I feel like this was for you too, but sometimes we look at these issues that have been around a long, long time, and we look at them and we see them as these never-ending, deep, deep issues. And sometimes, they go way, way back. There are things that sometimes we deal with that go back to when we were kids. You know, the root of the issue might go back decades. And so we kind of get hyper focused on that, like, oh, man, this is deep. This is a problem. This is an issue. God, help me, you know, and we just moan and groan and labor over this thing, this habit, this sin, this golden calf, whatever, this thing that we just can't seem to shake. And we look at it like I first was looking at that trench, like, whoa, that's so deep, it's so dangerous, I'll die, you know, whatever. And what we fail to realize is that in the God life, sometimes the remedy that we're looking for is very much like taking one step from one side to the other, and it really isn't that complicated, and it really won't kill you. For example, you know, this is a very small example of an issue, but putting my phone in the other room before I go to sleep was not a big issue. How much effort does it take to walk in the next room and put the phone on the dining room table, right? Like a lot of people, I can overthink things. I can just, you know, make a big deal out of things that are not a big deal. And the Lord was reminding me, hey, daughter, sometimes things are very simple and very straightforward. And there's this verse, and it's so short, how can I not quote this exactly? But anyway, there's the verse where Mary, the mother of Jesus, was telling someone at the wedding of Cana, and she says, whatever he says to you, do it. She points at Jesus. She says, whatever he tells you, do it. And the Lord reminded me, it's that simple. Whatever I tell you, do it. End of story. End of the issue. Put your phone away. And I think we can apply this lesson to other areas of our life, that sometimes it really is that straightforward. It really isn't a big deal. It all boils down to one thing: obedience. Just instant obedience. Whatever he says, do it. So if you want to join me in 2024, let's take that scripture. Let's grab hold of that thing and let's live according to that verse. I'm going to do it. I'm on like my 4th or 5th night of sleeping without my phone. And I'm telling you what, I already feel better rested. I really do. So anyway, join me. I encourage you to join me in this endeavor. And yeah, let's live with freedom and grace. Okay? I'll talk to you later. Bye.